In this video, I'm going to teach you the exact full body program that I have used personally to become both stronger and more explosive while staying in shape for fighting. My name is Bertil, I'm a full-time judo athlete, and over the last years I've helped over 1,000 different combat athletes achieve their dream physique while staying in shape for fighting as well. I also just released my free course on training and dieting for combat athletes to stay in shape and build your dream physique. So check it out down below. So in this video I'm going to break down this full body session that you can use if you're an MMA fighter, BJJ, wrestler or a judo fighter. This is of course just one session, so if you want the other session that I also use to hit 2 training sessions per week, then make sure to check out my next video where I'll break down part 2. But this is still a great session that you can use even once a week or twice a week. But in the end of the video I'm going to break down the whole system behind this training style so you can copy it to your next workout, so make sure to watch the video all the way to the end. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is of course to have a nice warm-up, and I usually jump on the bike, but right now it's a bit messy. Wait, I'll move it. So I usually start off most warm-ups with just having 3 to 5 minutes on any cardio machine. Can be skipping, can be the assault bike, but just to get the body temperature up a little bit. Okay, so the next thing after getting your body temperature up a little bit is to have some mobility work, and I usually do this in the start of the session or tell my athletes to do this in the start of the session, since otherwise they will not do it, and it's a great time to also hit in some mobility work. Okay, so we're going to start off with a little superset, 3 rounds of these 3 exercises, and we start by doing 15 reps on the shoulder exercise, hitting 15 reps. Then going into the Cossack squat for 10 reps on each leg. Trying to get all the way down here in the bottom and really also hit the stretch. And then the last exercise is this one. I don't know what the name is, but where we get all the way down in the stretch and rotate up. And here we also aim for 10 reps to each side. To really get those hips warm. And then we go straight back to the shoulder exercise for the rotator cuff, to really get those shoulders warm and ready for the session. And putting in an exercise like this rotator cuff exercise in the start is also really good for preventing injuries, and I feel like when I put in the program for my athletes, then otherwise they wouldn't do it. So instead I put it in here in the warm-up, so you don't have to waste your time as something else. Okay, now we are warm and ready to move into the workout. And the first exercise we're going to do is this box jump variation where we start on the knees. So I start here on the other side on the knees, and then I jump first up on my feet, and then I really try to minimize the time I spend on the ground before I move up to the box, so it looks kind of like this. And here we are aiming to have only 3 reps, but make sure they are really explosive. But for the full description of reps and sets, you can see it down in the caption, so check it out there. Okay, so the next exercise is rotational med ball slams, but starting from the knees. And it looks kind of like this. The focus point on this exercise is, just as with the other one, is to like minimize the time that I spend from, now I'm doing it wrong as well. Is minimize the time that we spend in this position. So as soon as I land on my on my feet, I try to minimize the time before I throw the ball to make it really explosive and to kind of like mimic the movement of a hip throw if you're a judo fighter or an MMA fighter, wrestler, you name it. So really try to make it explosive, and just as with the box jumps, we try to aim for 3 reps on each side before we move on. Okay, so now we have done our explosive work, or we still have one more explosive exercise left, but here we are moving a bit more over to the strength kind of part of the session. So the first exercise on this part is the trap bar jumps, and I'm going to show you how it looks now. Okay, so we added some weight now, and the exercise in itself looks like this. So we start off just as if it was a trap bar deadlift, and then instead we try to do some jumps. Like this. So the focus point here is, of course, to move it as explosive as possible. And one of the common mistakes I see is that people load the bar too heavy because they're used to doing trap bar deadlifts, but we really want to keep it light and moving, so it's important to go down in weight to some point where that you can really move it explosive when you land and not spend too much time on the ground as soon as I land. And here we aim for 5 reps, and we do only 3 sets here. Okay, so the next exercise is one of the king exercises for all combat athletes, which is the Zercher squat. And we do this variation where we use a bench and we do seated Zercher squats instead, and it looks like this. So I go in here and hold it down here in my biceps like this, and you can either hold your own hands or just hold them stiff like this. When I hold my own hands, it hurts a bit more on the arms, so I like to just stick them like this, and then we move back, sit down on the bench, and move up again. Like this. Okay, and the reason why we have the bench is because this movement can be quite taxing on the lower back, which is of course good, but when you are a athlete and have a lot of other training sessions throughout the week, it can be a bit too much, so that's why we stick to this exercise, so you have more power at your training, which is one of the common mistakes that I see people do a lot, is that they train a split like a power lifter. Okay, maybe a power lifter wouldn't do this exercise, but let's say a strongman or someone else would do, forgetting that they are actually combat athletes and not strength athletes. So it's important to like minimize those parts of the movement sometimes where you get more sore from, or which can be more taxing on your body. Of course, we still want to have a lot of input on your body as well, otherwise you don't get stronger. But trust me, when you load this exercise very heavy, you are going to feel your body anyways, so don't be afraid. Here we go for only 3 reps and we do 5 sets. Okay, so before we move on to the next exercise, I'm just going to tell you once again about my free online course that I just dropped, where I teach you about how you should eat as an athlete and train. And besides that, you also have a full community of worldwide people who are ready to help you, and you have one-on-one contact with me. And of course, it's completely free, so there is no reason not to sign up. Check it out down below. Okay, next exercise is the Pendley row, which is kind of a variation of the bend over row, but a bit more explosive variation. And you can of course load this, actually you can load this one almost even heavier than the Pendley row, and it looks like this. And here we are aiming to hit 5 reps and do around 3 to 4 sets. A key point here is to hold your back straight and don't lose your back when you do the movement, so you don't end up getting injured. But start down here, have a straight back, and then focus or try to pull the bar to your chest bone, I think you call it. So again, from here. And really try to move the barbell as fast as possible. Okay, next up we have the floor press. And you can of course use a mat, but if you're a dirty motherfucker like me, you just lay straight on the ground and load yourself under the bar. And here I actually put my legs all the way down and try to not use the leg drive that we have when we do a bench press, but just lay flat with your legs, and otherwise we just load it up as we would with like a normal bench press. The thing about the floor press when we do this exercise is it's kind of like a box squat, but for bench press instead. Because here the movement already stops here, but it also allows you to move more explosive from this part of the movement. On top of that, you also don't get as far down in the stretch, which means that your muscle is not as taxing on your muscle, and you can work harder later on in the day when you have your normal training session. Okay, so now we're done with the heavy part of this workout, or the primary exercise of this workout, and we move on to the primary accessory exercises, is what it's called. And here we're doing a superset, and we're going to superset the landmine Russian twist with a variation of a high pull over here at the bench, which I have from Westside Barbell. So don't think that I came up with this or anything, but we're going to start with having the weight like this and moving it over. And here we're just having 5 reps to each side, and then we move over to this variation of the high pull, where we're going to do kind of like a cheating high pull but sitting down. It looks like this. But the focus point here is trying to pull with your elbows and give it a little bit of swing as well, so you can move a bit more weight actually. So here is actually okay to have a bad form, and you can tell the old guy in the gym that is shaming you for doing it like this, that this is actually the point of the whole exercise. But here we are trying to hit around 12 to 15 reps. Okay, so now we are at the last part of the workout, which is the secondary accessory exercises. And we're going to start off with what we call the rolling tricep, and it looks like this. Okay, so the focus point here is to kind of like mix together a pullover and a pressing movement to really hit some heavy load on the triceps, but still having a more isolating exercise than if we would do a bench press. So we pull the weights over, and as soon as we come to this point of the movement, where it's closer to a bench press, we press the weight up. And the heavier you go on the exercise, the further down the weights will of course go. But it shouldn't be something where you like pull it over and then have to press it all the way up. It should be a gliding movement through like this. And here we are doing 3 sets of 12 reps, and we're going to superset it with hammer curls. And hammer curls is not only good for the beach, but also really good for having that squeezing movement that you really need in most grappling sports. And we keep the dumbbells parallel like this, and otherwise just move through the movement. And really try to move in a controlled speed as well. So don't just swing it like this. But of course, when you hit those last reps, it can be sometimes beneficial to give a little bit more swing to hit in some extra gains. And of course we superset this exercise with the rolling triceps for 12 reps each, and we do 3 sets here. Okay, so that was actually the full workout. But now I'm going to explain to you how we structure these type of workouts so you can also do it with some other exercises. And I actually have a full list of some of the best exercises for combat athletes inside my online course for free, so check it out, of course. Okay, so as you saw, we started off with the warm-up and hitting mobility as well. And as I said before, I really like to hit the mobility in the warm-up as well to just minimize the time that I would otherwise spend on doing mobility. And if you are coaching some other athletes, this can be really, really beneficial because otherwise they will not do it. I can assure you that. Okay, so next up we moved on to the intro part of the workout where we do more plyometric exercises. And we do this because we, in the start of the workout, are more fresh and more able to perform these plyometric exercises as they should be. Because if you are feeling tired or if you've done heavy squats already, the chances are that the plyometric exercises are probably not going to work. And also, the plyometric exercises are not as taxing on the body as, let's say, a deadlift, for instance, which means that that you can still perform the rest of the workout even though you've done some box jumps. Yeah, there it was. Okay, so the next part was the primary exercises, which is where we move on to some more heavy compound movements and really load up some heavy weight. And of course, I have a full list in my community/course completely for free, so don't miss out and check it out. And this is where we do exercises like the squat, deadlift, Zercher squat, bench press, the Pendley row that we also did, but also exercises like loaded pull-ups, dips, shoulder press, you name it, and much more, of course. After that, when we're done, and here we are trying to usually hit around, I would say, 3 to 4 exercises if it's more upper body focused, but if it's only lower body exercises that you hit, such as or if you have a lower upper split, then I would suggest going all the way down on the lower body days to 2 or even 1 exercise. Let's say you have a day where you do really heavy deadlift. It is not even sure that you need to do much other heavy stuff that day when you also need to have energy for the training later on in the day. And that's another really important part. You're not a power lifter, you are a combat athlete, so train as a combat athlete. Next up, we moved on to the primary accessory exercise. And this is the part where we try to isolate the muscles a little bit more, but still doing exercises that focus like a bigger part of the body. This could be where we sometimes would move over to a machine like the lat pull down, or doing pull-ups in a bit higher rep range that we would do if it was a primary accessory exercise. Because one of the big differences between these two is also the amount of reps that you do. And with the primary exercises, we try to go a bit heavier. So here we aim around 3 to 5, 6 reps. But with the primary accessory exercises, we are moving more over to 6 to 12 reps to have a bit higher volume. So low volume in the plyometrics, 3 reps around here. Primary exercises, 3 to 5 reps. Primary accessory exercises, here we move over to 6 or even 8 to 12 reps. And that leads us to the last thing, secondary accessory exercises, which is the most isolating movements that we do, which could be some hammer curls or rolling triceps as we did earlier, but also a lot of other different exercises can also be core exercises. But here we again up the volume a bit more and aim for around 10 to 15 reps. Okay, so that was basically it. Pretty easy, right? No, not really. But with this type of structure, you can almost match in any exercise you want and it will be definitely a decent workout. But of course, it's a bit more complicated when you start doing multiple sessions per week and you need to decide which exercise you do, which days, and also structure to what your current goals are. Of course, if you are really trying to build explosivity, you would maybe make it a bit different than this. And if you would really try to focus on building muscle, you would of course up the the reps a bit more in the start as well. But of course, I'm teaching you all of this for free inside of my course and community down below. Check it out. But other than that, make sure to check my next video where I'm going to break down the sister workout to this, so you can have two strength sessions on on 1 week, and you are basically set for better than 90% of all combat athletes. So basically, this was just a pretty all-around workout, full body workout that I would personally do if my goal was to just get a better athlete, become stronger, more explosive at the same time, and also more agile with the mobility work. But thank you guys so much for watching my first YouTube video, and make sure to drop a comment down below how I did, what I did wrong, what I did right, and turn on the notification bell, hit the like, subscribe, you name it. Peace.